we saw teams go over the top in trying to find offensive line help. And we're going to save one of them for a minute from now. It's the team that traded for a top end offensive lineman. But if you look at some of the numbers that were thrown around, Drew Dahlman, the center from Atlanta, gets a 3-year, $42 million deal in Chicago. Aaron Banks, the guard from San Francisco, gets a 4-year, $77 million deal with the Packers. Jalen Moore goes from San Francisco to Kansas City, 2 years, $30 million. And then this was a real eye-opener, was Dan Moore Jr., the left tackle from Pittsburgh, is headed to the Tennessee Titans for $82 million over 4 years. So I think what you're seeing now is a supply and demand issue out there in the market. There just are not enough good offensive linemen out there. The draft class doesn't look like it's got answers at left tackle, isn't tremendously strong in any offensive line position this year. So, teams feel like they've got to go out and overextend themselves a little bit to go and get offensive linemen. So you see Aaron Banks is a little bit like the Robert Hunt signing last year when Robert Hunt went from the Dolphins to the Panthers. And then the Chiefs need a left tackle. That's the bottom line. So they're betting on upside with Jalen Moore, who played well in spots and stepping in for Trent Williams at left tackle in San Francisco. And Dan Moore allows the Titans to move J.C. Latham, their first-round pick from a year ago, over to the right side. Again, what will these signings look like 2 or 3 years from now? We'll see. It's hard to believe that all these guys are going to live up to the money that they got based on the types of players they are and the money they're getting. But the reality is that's a position that you just can't leave yourself short at. You have to at least have some answers at the offensive line. The worst teams we've seen over the last 5 years or so have been the teams that don't have answers, that try to sort of jerry-rig it together with just pieces on the offensive line. You have to spend to even get your head above water at those positions, which I think is why you see the spending here in the way that you saw it. Again, that's spending is bolstered by the relative lack of depth at those positions in the draft, and especially the lack of answers at left tackle at the top of the draft. There's no Joe Alt this year, which I think is why, again, you see the Chiefs overextend themselves to go and get Jalen Moore, and the Titans overextend themselves a little bit to go and get Dan Moore Jr.